The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
In those days, when there again was a great crowd without anything to eat, Jesus summoned the disciples and said, "My heart is moved with pity for the crowd, because they have been with me now for 3 days and have nothing to eat. If I send them away hungry to their homes, they will collapse on the way, and some of them have come a great distance." His disciples answered him, "Where can anyone get enough bread to satisfy them here in this deserted place?" Still he asked them, "How many loaves do you have?" They replied, 7. He ordered the crowd to sit down on the ground. Then taking the 7 loaves, he gave thanks, broke them, and gave them to his disciples to distribute, and they distributed them to the crowd. They also had a few fish. He said the blessing over them, and ordered them distributed also. They ate and were satisfied. They picked up the fragments left over, 7 baskets. There were about 4,000 people. He dismissed the crowd and got into the boat with his disciples and came to the region of Dalmanutha. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise the Lord Jesus Christ.
Well, good morning. Welcome. Greetings to those on the live stream. As we continue in the Gospel of Mark this week, Jesus is still in the area of Sidon, which is predominantly a Gentile area. It's a very pagan area, and Jesus has been healing many people. Earlier in Mark's Gospel, he has cast out an evil spirit from a woman's daughter and restored hearing for a deaf man with a speech impediment. And this crowd initially came for the exciting show of miracles and healing. But many of them stay for what Jesus teaches, and then they decide to follow him. They don't do anything to draw out his compassion for their hunger. All they do is remain with him and listen to him. They're simply with him when he decides to show them his compassion. They're so spiritually hungry, they'd rather stay with Jesus and miss a meal than leave Jesus and miss a miracle. So why don't the disciples simply ask Jesus to do a miracle like he's done before? Just a couple months earlier, Jesus did a very similar miracle where 5,000 men and their families were fed with some bread and fish. The disciples aren't connecting his previous display of power with the situation of today. And aren't we sometimes like those disciples? Jesus answered our prayer a few months ago, provided for us time and time again throughout our lives, and has taken care of us, gotten us through many valleys. And then we flip to a new page in our life, find ourselves in another crisis, with another need, and we try to fix it ourselves and never ask God to do anything about it. One of the biggest weaknesses that followers of Jesus struggle with is the weakness of forgetfulness. We forget who God is and what he's done. Or maybe you feel like you're in a deserted place and have nothing left. You've been following Jesus. You've been growing. You've been learning. You've been serving. He's done great things in your life already, but you find yourself in a wilderness. Be patient. Pray and wait. Jesus has compassion. Help is on the way. Sometimes the best place to be is in the wilderness or a deserted place, because that's where Jesus can do something significant in your life. God is always compassionate. It's one of his attributes. Sometimes we miss experiencing the compassion because we've walked away from him. To experience who God is, we have to be with him. Jesus knows the depth of your hunger. He sees and knows about your suffering. He cares about it and about you, and he's not going to send you home empty. He's going to fill you up, equip you to do what he has in store for you to do. Some of you have a great distance to go. You have a lot of living left. You follow Jesus this far. You're learning and wanting more. You've sacrificed for him and his kingdom, and he won't send you away hungry. God's not going to give up on you. So keep learning. Keep growing. He's going to use you. Every time Jesus calls his disciples to himself, he's about to do something significant. And it usually involves their participation. This is a basic principle, this calling and sending. When he calls you, he will involve you. He called the disciples to give up what they had, even though it wasn't even close to meeting the tremendous need of the people. Bread and fish. That's like peanut butter and jelly. It's so normal. Jesus uses normal things like bread and fish, and you and me, to work miracles in this world. He's able to take normal things and turn them into great blessings. You may feel very normal, but God can use your life to encourage and inspire others. He calls us to have compassion and to offer what little we have to meet their needs. We offer it, and Jesus multiplies it. You may think you're little and won't make that much of a difference, but that's not true in the hands of Jesus. Your job is to give what you have to bless others. The Lord's job is to multiply it to meet the need. You give it, and Jesus multiplies it. My dear friends, when we stay with Christ, we're eternally satisfied, abundantly satisfied, mightily satisfied. We're eternally saved, abundantly saved, mightily saved. When Jesus satisfies and saves, he always gives more than we're expecting. When we come to him for peace, we expect relief from anxiety. But Jesus does more than that. He gives a peace that surpasses all understanding. When we come to him for spiritual strength, we expect a mild pick-me-up. But Jesus does more than that. He gives far more abundantly than all we ask or think. Whatever we need from Christ, he overprovides. He totally and fully satisfies. The deepest meaning of the miracle in our gospel today is that through his death on the cross, Jesus became the bread of life for the world. He tells us, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger, and whoever believes in me will never thirst. Remain with him. Stay with him. He will provide.